This video is brought to you by Temu. Thanks to the people at Temu, they are giving new users a $100 coupon bundle. Click in the description below to claim the bundle and use them for your next purchase.
In the past, before the war with the Romans, Colin MacLeod, our main character, gets betrayed by his wife as she sells him out to the immortal Roman king named Marcus. But Marcus betrayed her as well, leading to the death of her husband Colin and her as well. But miraculously, Colin survives, and he discovers that every time he kills someone, his power gets multiplied, turning him more powerful. In the future, Colin is on his way to hunt for the immortal King Marcus for his revenge. Upon reaching a shady area with dead people hanging from the ceiling, he approaches many thugs who was eating their meal, asking them about Marcus. But the thugs tries to kill him instead and is immediately cut by him, scaring them away. Colin senses an immortal being and thought it was Marcus, but it turns out to be another person who is an immortal like him. He challenges Colin to a fight, which he refuses, but he tries to kill him, so Colin had no choice but to fight. They fought fiercely, but Colin was able to kill him by beheading, as it is the only way to kill an immortal. The dead body of the man releases a huge energy which made Colin to become more powerful as he got his life force and power. After that,
my nigga.
Colin travels to a city to collect his bounty for the immortal's decapitated head, as he had heard about it. While he was on his way, he is stopped by a guard and his drones. They check his bag and he was shocked to see the decapitated head of the immortal. The guard reports to Marcus as he works under him, and he gets an order to bring Colin to him. The guard hands him his reward for killing the immortal and informs him that his commander wished to see him. Colin declines as he does not know that his commander is Marcus. So, he tries to fight the guard because he is being forceful with him. But his guardian in the form of a fly tells him that he should tag along with the guard. As they were on their way, Colin sees the devastated area of that city. He asks the guard what had happened there, to which he explains that a certain virus killed about 80% of the people there, and due to the lack of the population, the city slowly led to its destruction. He also warns Colin that he needs to get vaccinated as well. After a while, Colin sees a certain bar, so he tells the guard to stop for a while as he wants to get out for a drink. But the guard declines, forcing Colin to beat the shit out of him and escapes. A kid named Joe witnessed his action and was totally amazed that he beats a guard that easily. So, he approaches Colin and tells him that he is at his service and he can get him whatever he needs. Colin tells him whiskey, and so the kid points a secret bar that was near, and he immediately head towards it, tipping the kid for his help, which made the kid happy. And he asked him his name. As Colin is enjoying his whiskey in the bar, a hot lady named Dahlia talks to him, and the moment she did, Colin gets a vision of his late wife Moya, as she told the exact same words his wife used to tell him. Then he remembers the past, that the night before the war with the Romans he vowed to his wife that he will love no one else but her until the day he dies. His wife truly loves him, therefore, she tells him that he should not fight with the Romans as they completely outnumbered them, then they will all die in a pointless struggle. But he disagrees, telling her that he wants to live his life freely with her and not as slaves of the Romans. So, Moya had no choice but to poison his drink with a sleeping drug. After that, she went straight to Marcus, the king of the Romans, and she begged him to spare the life of her people by offering herself to him. But Marcus tells her that he will still destroy her people no matter what. So, she stabbed him to his death, and when she was trying to escape from his camp, Marcus suddenly came and grabbed her, telling her that he cannot die because he is an immortal. Then, he gave an order to his army to destroy her people while they were asleep and made her watch the massacre of her people.
It's an evil world we live in.
But, by chance, her husband Colin managed to survive, and he saw a horrible sight filled with the corpses of his people. He immediately tries to find his wife, but sees her being crucified on a cross. He immediately ran towards her. He grabs her down, and tears flow from his eyes as he sees his wife slowly dying. In her last moments, she was happy to see him alive, that she loves him very dearly. She tells him to keep a promise that he should not seek revenge, as it will only lead to his death, because she saw previously that the king was immortal and she passed away in his arms. After he buried his wife, he did not keep his promise, and he went directly to Marcus to exact his revenge and kill him. Colin successfully manages to infiltrate the camp of Marcus. But Marcus was able to sense him, and Colin tries to fight his way through, but he is immediately overwhelmed by the number of his guards and he gets captured. But instead of killing him, Marcus decides to give him a chance that if he is able to kill him in a duel, he will get to live, and Colin gladly accepts his request. On the duel, Marcus was able to defeat him by slashing his face in half. But then, the horse where Colin was riding on carried his dead body and fled away. Marcus followed him to make sure he is dead. But suddenly Colin's body fell on a holy ground and Marcus couldn't kill him because of a certain rule for an immortal. As Colin lays there, he did not die and several years pass by, and finally one day he awakens from his death. A spirit of an old man named Amergan came and greets him, telling him that he has turned into an immortal, and he will continue to live forever unless his head is chopped off. Hearing this, Colin immediately tries to proceed to Marcus for his revenge, but Amergan tells him that he should lay down his sword and listen to him. But he declines and arrogantly tells him that now he has nothing to worry about because he has turned into an immortal. Suddenly, a lightning strikes him and he cries with agony, to which Amergan explains to him that even though he is an immortal, he will still feel pain like a normal human. He continued to explain to him that a long time has passed since then, and the Romans are gone now, and that there are many immortals like him and he will be able to sense them if they are close. He further explained about Marcus that he is an immortal as well, and he has been a warrior for centuries, and that he has no chance to win against someone like him. Hearing this, Colin immediately threatens him to tell his location. But he disappears and tells him that if he continued to seek Marcus for revenge, Marcus will surely kill him by beheading and steal his life force, because all the immortals fight to be the only one alive and become powerful. And Marcus didn't kill him earlier because he was on a holy ground, and it is a rule for the immortals to follow, and he further explains that he cannot bear children and his ding-dong will produce no white water.
Oh, hell no!
Colin did not listen to the advice of the spirit, but instead he runs away from the holy ground to search for Marcus. Back in the present, the hot lady named Dahlia offers herself to him in exchange for his help, but he declines. Suddenly, they hear a siren as the guards were searching for Colin for what he did. So, Dahlia tells him to follow her as she knew a safe place, and he decides to follow her. She takes him to a place where she was living, and on their way, he saw a lot of people living in that secret place in a very horrible living condition. So, he asked Dahlia why were they living there instead of living at the surface. Dahlia explains to him that recently a dictator took over the entire town by controlling the vaccines to the virus, and only the people that are obedient to his rules are allowed to live in the surface and gets vaccinated. And he kills any people who does not bend to his rules. Therefore, it is safer for the people to live underground than on the surface. Then, Dahlia takes Colin to her home and she tries to seduce him, but like a real Sigma, he declines and he asks her the real reason why she brought him there. Dahlia tells him that she needs his help, as they all saw how strong he was earlier in defeating the guards of the dictator, so that she can steal the vaccine with his help from the tower where the dictator was living, so that she can save the lives of many people that were living underground because most of them are dying due to the virus. But Colin does not care because he is only interested in finding Marcus for his revenge. He went back to the surface and Dahlia had no choice but to follow him to the surface and begged him for his help. Suddenly, Colin sees the face of Marcus on a display board, who apparently turned out to be the dictator. He immediately asks Dahlia the location of Marcus and she points towards the tower, and she tells him that she knows a secret route to go there without getting caught by the guards. So, Colin decides to help her steal the vaccine, and in return she will guide him safely to Marcus. On the way, they met the kid Joe, and he insists to let him tag along on the mission, and they had no choice but to accept. As they were walking, Dahlia tells everyone to be quiet. But suddenly, Joe's watch made a sound and a mutated crocodile that was guarding that area awakens from his slumber. They tried to escape from it, but Dahlia fell into the water, which made the beast to go after her, trying to eat her. Colin immediately jumps in and cuts the head of the beast in half and was able to save her, and they were totally amazed by his strength. After some time, they reach inside of the tower and they were able to hijack the lab which was developing vaccines for the virus. Dahlia demands the vaccine, but they were hesitant. So, she fires her gun to threaten them, which made them all to panic, and the head scientist tells her to be careful as she could release a deadly virus. And they found out that they were making an enhanced weaponized virus in that lab that has a 100% kill rate to kill everyone in that city who is not vaccinated, and they were the one who made the virus all along that kill half of humanity. Suddenly, an alarm gets triggered, so they took the vaccine and tries to escape. But Colin was able to sense Marcus, so he went towards his direction alone and heartlessly leaving Dahlia and the kid on their own. While he is on the elevator going up towards Marcus, his guardian spirit came in the form of a bird and calls him an asshole for leaving the kid and the woman on their own. The spirit further continues to talk to him about his past, that the same incident has occurred before. When he was on his way to kill Marcus, a woman and a kid asked for his help, but he ignores them and went to kill Marcus instead. But he was defeated, and when Marcus tried to land the finishing blow, Colin was saved by the attackers who came to kill Marcus. Colin pursues Marcus again in a different time and era, and this time he takes the help of the Vikings, but he was killed again. So, the Vikings buried him, and before that, they gave him a name, Colin MacLeod of the MacLeod clan, because he had no name. And the woman named Deborah, who loved him dearly in that era, cried for him. But after a while, Colin comes back to life because his head was not cut off. This totally surprised all the Vikings, and they were all afraid of him, and they tried to kill him, calling him a demon. Deborah begged for his life, but they did not listen to her at all. Suddenly, Gregor, the leader of the Vikings, came and convinced everyone that he is not evil as he can see it in his eyes. And so, they set him free. He leaves the place alone, and Deborah cries and begs him to take her along. After a while, he became a samurai and went to kill Marcus again. And while fighting with him, he found a samurai sword that never breaks, and he almost bested Marcus, but he managed to escape. Colin continues again, and he even became a pirate and even fought the Nazis. But every time he gets defeated by Marcus, but somehow always managed to survive.
We cannot beat these. We cannot beat this motherfucking team for shit!
Back in the future, Dahlia and the kids somehow manage to survive the drone, and Colin finally meets Marcus and he challenges him to a fight. But when he fought him, he was defeated again and he fell down from the tower. Dahlia was on her way to escape, but suddenly she sees Colin, who fell from the tower. She tells the kid to go on ahead, and she went towards Colin. She checked his pulse and thought he was dead, but when she tries to head back, he grabs her feet and tells her to help him. Dahlia gets totally surprised in seeing that he is alive and was totally confused. Then while she was carrying him, he tells her everything about himself, his wife, and what Marcus did. Dahlia found it hard to believe that he and Marcus are immortals and that he has been chasing him for 2,000 years. Suddenly, the drone were able to find them. So, Dahlia used the grenade and escaped by sliding down. She tried her best to carry Colin, but she immediately fell on the ground as she was too tired and has no more energy to move. While they lay there, she looks at him with sympathy and tells him that he has been so loyal and that he loved her only and no one else for 2,000 years. While he is unconscious, Colin sees the inside of his mind, and the guardian spirit took him to the grave of his wife from his memory, and taunts him that hope he has not forgotten his wife just like he did with his promise to her. The spirit tells him that he was foolish to not realize that his wife was meant to meet him again, because her spirit lives eternally even though her body has become dust, and she has appeared many times in his life in the form of Moya, Deborah, and Dahlia. And that he was a fool to not notice this because he is blinded by his anger and his thirst for revenge. After that, he wakes up and the doctor was shocked to see him alive because all his life-threatening injuries has completely healed without any medication. Colin hears voices of a huge crowd and he went to check it. Everyone in the crowd was surprised to see him alive and they all cheer for him. The doctor explains to him that they cheer for him because he did not only bring the vaccine to the people, but he brought them hope as well to fight back against the dictator. Then, the doc tells everyone to get ready for war because the next day they will be taking back their city, which made everyone to be excited, and Colin decides to help them. But that Colin noticed that Dahlia was sad because she didn't want to see them die in the war. So, Colin decides to follow her to her room. In her room, Colin thanks her for carrying him earlier. Then, she tells Colin that she has been praying to God for a very long time that they will win the war. But deep inside her heart, she does not want the war to occur because she does not want to see the people she cares about to die. But she totally believes in her prayer that they will surely win the war, because God had granted one of her wishes earlier. That is to see him back alive because she thought he was gonna die earlier when he became unconscious. After that, they play a very interesting scoring match of shaking bed where both are winners. The next morning, Colin locks her home as he didn't want her to join the war because she might die, and everyone went for the war to fight against Marcus and his army for freedom. Colin made a plan with the doc that they will distract the army and Colin will secretly try to infiltrate their base and kill Marcus because it is the only way to stop the drone army. Joe guides Colin through a secret passage as he knew another way to enter the tower where Marcus was living. While Colin and Joe was trying to enter the tower, they notice a lot of guards guarding the area. So, Colin decides to go in alone without the kid, as Colin was trying his best to sneak in without the guards noticing him. But suddenly a mini helicopter came and tries to kill him. The pilot was one of Marcus' faithful immortal servant and both of them engage in a fierceful fight. While fighting with her, Colin ends up in a disadvantaged situation, but Dahlia came as she managed to escape from her home earlier and immediately rescues him, and she was able to knock the psychotic lady out. She tells Colin to go on ahead while she distracts the guard, and she tells him that she truly loves him. After that, Colin made it to the top of the tower where he meets Marcus. Marcus shows him a device that will release a virus that has a 100% kill rate, and he tells him that if he cannot defeat him within 2 minutes, everyone will die. So, Colin and Marcus engage in a fierceful fight, but as usual, Marcus had the upper hand and completely overpowers him. Knowing this, Colin tries his best to deactivate the device, but he was too late, and the virus was released and many people starts dying. Meanwhile, the immortal woman comes back to life and she was able to stab Dahlia. But then, Dahlia wasn't willing to give up. So, she used a grenade to kill her by sacrificing herself, and in her last moment she tells Colin that she will meet him again in another time. And miraculously, Colin is able to hear her. And with this, he immediately prayed to God to grant him strength, even though he never believed in God before. Then suddenly, he gets the strength and courage, and he was able to defeat Marcus by decapitating him. A huge energy was released from the dead body of Marcus, which destroyed all his drone army and killed all the viruses. Then Colin gains all his power, becoming even more powerful. All the people and everyone in that city was overjoyed as they won the war, and Colin continues his journey again till the day he meets his beloved wife again.